Hello friends. In this video I want to share with you some closing thoughts on the sixth sign in John's Gospel, the healing of the man born blind. I'm sure you probably noticed the great contrast between this man who was born blind, to whom Jesus gave sight, and the religious leaders of his day. In the formerly blind man, we have someone who could not see physically, whom Jesus healed, but then had some spiritual eyesight, right? He could not only see physically, but spiritually. He could see Jesus for who Jesus truly was. On the other hand, we've got the religious leaders who can see physically, but spiritually, not so much. Their absolute and willful refusal to believe in Jesus makes them blind to what is true and what is real. You know, we have an idiom for people like that, people who are oblivious to something that is obvious, people who are unable to see what is in clear view. We say they can't see the nose in front of their face. Now there's a warning for us here. After an examination of the evidence that Jesus is more than worthy of our trust and acceptance, we must not determine to willfully disbelieve. You know, some people have a prejudice against Jesus, and they have a prejudice against the Christian faith, and they cannot see what is right in front of them. We don't want to be like those religious leaders in Jesus' day, nor do we want to be like people today who make up their minds about Jesus long before they ever see the facts or the evidence that might support his deity and his specialness. Now, what lessons can we learn from this story in John chapter 9? Well, the first one I've already talked about. We need to beware of a willful refusal to see, to consider the facts. I'm pleading for us to be open-minded here. Number two, we can be just as brave and just as courageous as that formerly blind man was when he stood before the authorities of his day. As you read through chapter 9, you'll notice that more and more he gains in courage before them. He's not afraid to speak up about what he believes. After all, he's put two and two together. He knows he has his sight because Jesus healed him. No one can heal a person of blindness unless God does it, right? Now, the blind man has learned that Jesus must have come from God because of this special gift. And he's bold and brave and courageous in telling people what he has figured out, in standing up for his faith in Jesus. Here's lesson number 3. We should expect rejection from others when we choose to follow Jesus. This blind man was rejected. Remember, he was kicked out of the synagogue because he dared to follow Jesus. Now, we can expect the same. And that rejection may come from members of our own family. But still, we need to have the courage to stand up and speak about our newfound faith in Jesus. And here's lesson number 4. Jesus gives something better. You know, the blind man was kicked out of the synagogue, and that was a great sacrifice for him. He lost a lot, but look what he gained. He gained his sight. He gained a new family. He gained a new leader who was someone worth following, not the religious leaders of his day. We may have to sacrifice in order to follow Jesus and place our faith in him. But I'm telling you, what we gain by following Jesus is worth so much more than what we might lose. Now, in our next video in this faith series, we're going to introduce the 7th sign in John's Gospel, the raising of Lazarus from the dead. I hope you're ready to join me then.